Hi guys. Okay, so this is part two of my metabolic damage series. This video log, I'm going to be talking a little bit more in detail about my prep going into my first figure season and just, the things that kind of led up to me damaging my metabolism. So I'm going to go over my nutrition, my exercise program, the dangers of competing in back-to-back shows, and then I'm going to cover a few topics that Layne Norton discusses called metabolic adaptation and metabolic capacity. Okay, so we will start there. So prep for me started in November of 2009 and it lasted until July of 2010. The first 7 months of my prep, roughly 6.5 months of prep, I was with one coach, and this coach had me on a nutrition plan that was averaging about 800 to 1,000 calories a day. I had no fat in my diet. I had about 80 grams of carbohydrates and no cheats. So if you're a competitor or you've competed in the past, you know how important cheat meals are. So as I mentioned earlier, my prep lasted roughly about 36 weeks. My coach did start me immediately at 800 to 1,000 calories. I think on average, I was probably consuming anywhere upwards of 2,000 calories. So you imagine with such a quick and drastic drop in my caloric intake, of course I was going to lean out. Of course I was going to drop body fat. But again, there came with that repercussions. So my diet for the 7 months that I was prepping until my first show consisted of these foods: chicken breast, egg whites, rice cakes, sweet potato, broccoli, asparagus, tilapia, and turkey. So I just want to re-emphasize the importance of treat meals, cheat meals, free meals, whatever you call it. It's both important for the mental side of competing. It definitely gives you some added motivation. You boost your energy, and again, it's just a good mental break from being on such a clean and relatively restrictive diet. In addition to it helping as a mental break, it also helps reset your metabolism. So by giving your body a surplus of calories and nutrients, you essentially hit a switch that kickstarts your metabolic rate, allowing it to continue to function as well as possible under the caloric restriction that you're currently in. I actually started off with about 45 minutes of cardio 4 times a week, and then 4 times a week of weight training, which lasted anywhere from 45 minutes to probably about 90 minutes on my leg days. My weight training program was a typical bodybuilder split: a 4 time a week chest tries, back buys, legs, and shoulder specific training day. One thing I do want to mention is that throughout the first 7 months of my prep, my program was only adjusted one time. So I had essentially sustained the same workout routine for 7 months. It was up to 2 sessions of 60 minutes. One in the morning was fasted, and then one in the evening or later on in the afternoon. In between those sessions, I did try and get in my weight training sessions. I was averaging roughly about 3 hours of cardio or working out a day. You're looking at under eating, over exercising, and holding that type of expenditure and intake for a very long period of time has its effects. So when you take a look at my daily expenditure, I was expending about 450 calories 2 times a day, roughly 350 to 450 calories on weights, which was roughly equivalent to 1250 calories a day, which does not include my resting metabolic rate. And again, I was only consuming 800 to 1,000 calories a day, which is putting me in quite a deficit. Competing in back-to-back shows is actually really common. I would say that I rarely see a competitor do just one show. In my case, my coach had suggested that I do a warm-up show, so I kind of get used to being on stage, get feedback from judges, and then kind of tweak things going into the show that I was peaking for. It's just you're prolonging this time of you being in a caloric deficit as well as overextending and exercising, well above how much you're taking in. If you have a coach that also has you go through peak week preps, meaning you do a carb depletion where you slowly remove your carbohydrates, which I did, and then do a carb load leading up to the show, so essentially your muscles look a lot fuller. You may do a water deplete. Same thing. You taper down your water, and then show day, you don't necessarily drink any. I remember just sipping on water, and all I really wanted to do the day of my last show was drink water. And a lot of people are craving like pizza and sweets. All I wanted was a huge glass of water. um, with water and carb deplete, there's also salt manipulation. So there's also the sodium deplete that leads up to that show. So in the 4 shows that I did a peak week twice. And again, those are very extreme measures that you take. And cycling through a deplete and then a load, it's a lot for your body to handle in such a short time frame. It's very dangerous to kind of continue to push your body and ignore certain signals that come about when you're going through these shows. And for me personally, I was tired all the time. I was a lot moodier, hungry all the time, and I lost my period. Like I mentioned in my other video, I lost it for a full year. I remember getting really dizzy. It was definitely my body telling me, hey, you need to slow down, or actually you need to stop doing what you're doing. As well as in between shows, you don't necessarily let your body rest. You can't necessarily recover fully, and then you don't get to rebuild your metabolism. So I'm going to go into talking about a few topics that Layne Norton goes through. So metabolic capacity is basically you utilizing your off season to rebuild or build up your metabolism so that you can now, essentially, if you want to still compete, diet down from a much higher caloric intake. It's basically getting your body to function optimally with the most amount of food. And if you're anything like me, I do like to eat. So my goal has always been to eat as much as I can and still perform well, still feel well, still maintain a relatively athletic physique. Okay, so metabolic adaptation. That is your body's ability to adapt to a specific input, let's say food, and output, exercise. Actually, when you've been on a plan for a period of time, let's say that, and you've been exercising, you've been doing an hour of cardio, and you're eating 1,000 calories. When you're getting ready for a show and you reach a plateau, what's going to happen for you to continue to lean out and get on stage at your peak? In most cases, coaches will, take away some food and maybe add some exercise, or they may do both. And so by the time you step on stage, you are now eating 600 calories, which again is not unheard of. I've heard of girls stepping on stage eating 600 calories a day and doing upwards of 2 hours of cardio. So it's your body basically reaching a new set point. From there, it has a hard time losing weight. And so as a response, you need to do something different. You need to do something different so that you can continue to lose weight and step on stage. Just to tie this all back into what I had gone through personally, by the time I was at my last show, I was doing 2 hours of cardio consistently a day, and I was exercising or weight training another hour during that day. And then you factor in posing, which probably added another couple hours a week. It's all the output, it's all the exercise, it's all the calories that I was burning, and all the food that I wasn't eating that slowly slowed down my metabolic rate to a point where my body reached that starvation mode. As a result of reaching starvation, my body essentially panicked, and that's when I rebounded. So that is just part 2 of my metabolic damage series. I do plan on sharing a little bit more in regards to how to recover and how I went about recovering. There is hope for you to get better. There's hope for you to repair your metabolism. It takes some time. It takes consistent effort, and that factors into reverse dieting, which I'll talk about in future video logs. But other than that, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, please just leave them below. And I will again leave Layne Norton's YouTube videos links below. And that is all. Okay, have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you again for watching. I do want to lastly mention that not all coaches are putting athletes through these extreme measures. There are coaches out there who work with you, who work with your metabolism and developing your metabolic capacity in your off season, and will help reverse diet you out from a show. Thank you again, and I will talk to you all very soon.